Hey everyone, welcome to FMA Talk Live. This is your host, Got2 Tim. Today is going to be talking about the Got Sticks tournament, the one we had in this past March, and talking about next year's event as well. Currently waiting for my host or my guest to come on. I'm just going to message him to find out what's going on. We were chatting, and hold on here. Hey, are you there? Let me see here. Okay. Hey, Henry, how you doing? You don't have to do anything because I'm the one paying for everything. All right, let me. Did you follow that link I sent you? Okay, well, hold on. No. We shouldn't have to do that at all because I just had someone on last week, and let me bring up the ins. Okay, yeah. Let me just let me get into here. I'm sending it to you again. Oh, it should be the same one. Yeah. Click on that link and see what happens. Always something, guys who are watching. Oh, I'm on the show right now live. So I got people. So I'm just talking to them while I'm talking to you at the same time. Safe. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Sometimes it might be sensitive to a browser specific. Do you have a laptop nearby? Okay. All right, folks, we're working with technology issues here. Let me see if we can figure out here. Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe because we're on the chat together. So let's get off this chat and see if you can. Okay. So I'll hang up here. Okay. So everyone, that was the host, Grandmaster Henry Garcia from Got Sticks, and of course, we are having some. We got some issues, some technical issues, not major ones. Could be the phone incompatibility. I'm not sure how well this works on Androids versus iPhones and all these others. So we could be running into a thing going on with this. So I hope everyone's doing well. We had a blast at the tournament, and but I'm going to see what I can do here. In the meantime, everyone, let me know where you're chiming in from. While I'm trying to get this worked out, I don't want to do this. Boom. Didn't want to do that, but okay, I did it anyways. Let's see what we can do here. Maybe there's a StreamYard option in here. So I use StreamYard, which seems to always work. And of course, it's not going to work this time. Hey, everyone, let me know where you're chiming in from. Where are you watching from? And as like what part of the world? Streamlabs. Yeah, there's no app for this, so there shouldn't be an issue. Let's see here. Let's see what I'm. Normally we get the stuff working well. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So while we work this out, let's talk about some stuff. How's that? Hey, all the way from Tijuana. Love it. Love it. Hope things are doing well. Hey, so while I wait for Grandmaster Henry, because we're having some problems, and we might not be able to do this today. We might have to deal with some technology issues and trying to figure stuff out for the future, because we can always push it back another week. What's the FMA scene, the Filipino martial arts scene in Tijuana? How many is there a scene down there at all, or there's nothing going on down there, or it's huge? I don't know. This is the first contact I have down from Tijuana, so I'm assuming the big one is always Taekwondo is always big. Big. Well, what other martial? And I've got other people watching. Is any of these Eric? Eric, are you there? Or is Eric at the gym? Sometimes Eric goes to the gym and throws me. I didn't. I put this up a little last minute because I was waiting for Grandmaster Henry to get. Okay. As far as I know, it is just my teacher and me. Oh, they teach Filipino martial arts. What kind of? From Combatan. Very cool. Very cool. So I got to study with Grandmaster Ernesto from 2000 to 2011. And the good thing was that because of that Combatan came from Modern Ernest, I had a huge head start on things. So it made my life a lot easier. Most stuff was common. The big thing, the big difference is that like Remy Pracis had a couple double stick drills where Grandmaster Ernesto had a double stick program. He had, give him props on that. He definitely had an established double stick program. The unique aspects of each thing. Let me see if I got a message. So, is Tijuana right on the border? I think it is, but I'm not sure. I don't know for sure. Trying to see about getting Grandmaster Henry on here. Yeah. Let me message him. Maybe if you log in through a browser and put the link up in there versus. Are you trying to log in from a browser? Yeah, that's the problem with technology. Yes, there are a couple of Kaji Kempo schools teaching screaming. Yeah, screaming. Yeah, because they put a little of that in their program, which is cool. It's all good, all good. Let me see, where is TJ here? And when I say TJ, I mean Tijuana. black-eyed dog is, of course, barking in the background. Of course, it's not what I want, but that's fine. I'll make this work. All right, that's not going to work. Okay, so I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. Do this. Okay, so hopefully that'll take care of this. And we're still waiting for GM Henry. Across the border from San Diego. Okay, that's what I thought. But I will. Okay. I see right where it is. How far is your club from the border? Because maybe if I find myself down in San Diego, I'd come and visit. I've got a couple places I might be going to Mexico, one of which is I might be where is it? Puerto Vallarta. And I've yet to teach in Mexico. Once I teach in Mexico, I've done every country in North America. Hey, Jordan, how you doing? 30 minutes away? That's cool. That's cool. Yeah, we're Grandmaster Henry's supposed to be on right now. Oh, look, he figured it out. I'm going to pull him right in. Here's Grandmaster Henry. How you doing?
Good. How you doing, Dr. Tim?
Doing wonderful. Good. I was just about to send out the National Guard for you.
You know, I'm computer literate. I had to call Antonio and say, how'd I get in?
Oh, okay. Antonio helped you out? That's cool.
Yeah, he helped me out.
Excellent. And yeah, that'd be, if I'm down that way, brother, I'd definitely come down and visit in Tijuana. Or maybe we meet at the border and then I can visit the club. And I'd be more than happy to do a little workshop at your place. So we're going to get with the show. So sorry for the late start. There's always some technological things going on. This is Grandmaster Henry Garcia. Oh, look, you even put your name in there. You figured that out. That's awesome. This is the creator of Got Sticks. So how are things going in Vegas today?
I was going great. I just got back from Stockton, did a seminar, and I got to witness Stockton Multi-Styles belt promotion. That was a lot of fun.
Hold on. I'm having I'm having an audio issue. It's all it's one. If it's in one thing, it's the other. Not that speaker. Yeah, that's okay. It's gonna be like that. I have problems all day here. All right, let me do the other one here. If it isn't one thing, it's another. All right, let me. All right, I'm just trying to get my stuff working on my side here. All right, I might have to disconnect something here. All right, and okay, no, we should be good here. Connect. Nope. Nope. Damn it! Why am I having problems here? All right, well, I'm going to disconnect this. That will make my life so much easier. All right, and no, turn the Bluetooth off. All right, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, all right, yeah. So I don't know why. Usually I use my EU Boom as a speaker for this computer, and for some reason it's not cooperating. So it is what it is. So I just had snow coming home today from school. That's that white stuff. How warm is it in Vegas right now?
It's in the 80s right now.
Okay, officially you suck. So So obviously you've got for the viewers. Can you tell us a little about your martial arts background?
Well, I've been training since I was 4. Did Kempo karate with the Flores brothers. Um, did Chafa Sansu with the Haitans. Then I got into Taekwondo um, a little bit after high school with Master Yupsup Shin, Terry on Taekwondo. And then I got into Eskrima with Master Anthony Gagliardo with what system is that? I can't think of his system right now. Then I got into Doce Pares with Denicio Cañete, and I got to train with everyone, the part of Doce Pares in LA area, um, GM Felix Rollies, GM June Onas. Um, that's pretty much my background. I opened up my studio, Tai Kalido, that I founded in 1993. Um, and since then, just everything took off. In my area, there wasn't no Eskrima studios. The only closest one was like hour and a half away, Iron Bean Carson, and 2 hours away in the Santo Academy. So I pretty much had my area on lockdown. I can't hear you.
Yeah, I mic'd it because my dog was barking.
He heard my voice.
Yeah,
Kudo.
and yeah, he likes Filipino food, so
Yeah, he almost had me for a double last time.
that's okay. We'll get through it. um, so, so I was in the Philippines. Actually, no, I ran a tournament here in Buffalo, the Buffalo Niagara Lamalaro, and Grandmaster Henry, along with Grandmaster Rudy Torres, came all the way out from the West Coast and Vegas, which is kind of the same but different, they're more inland. They came out and supported my event, and unfortunately, the timing. I couldn't go to the event in December, which is Grandmaster Torres's tournament, which also honors his one son. Just and there's just it's a rough date period, but I will be supporting his August event coming up in Stockton. But the one event I went to was Your Got Sticks, and it was rough because I flew home from the Philippines. I arrived on a Tuesday and I flew to Vegas on a Thursday. And it was an interesting tournament. It was cool because there was a seminar section on Friday night, which I got to reconnect with some people I haven't seen in a long time. Ariel Moses. Meet some new people. And then, of course, there's the tournament, which you had me do a little MC work there, opening up the event here and there. But tell us about that tournament.
You forgot about the God Stick seminar the day before the tournament that
Oh
you
no,
and
I said that's where I met Ariel Moses. I was teaching the night before, so there was
okay,
a bunch of us. Yeah, so. But tell us about the tournament.
Oh, the God Sticks tournament started back in the late '90s. Um, I teamed up with GM Junonas, GM Felix Rollies, GM Nilo. Um, he's from up north. Um, we had a tournament circuit. It was running good, probably for like 10 years. Um, I had the Filipino military teams come out to my tournaments with General Santiago's blessings for like, I think they came out like 4 times. I brought what I did with my Eskrima instructor. Okay, Laban Tulasan, that's the first system I did in the Filipino martial arts. GM Antonio, not Antonio, Tony Gagliardo. He was under GM Nair. He's at a Diamond Bar, but he told me that I would never bring groups together because well, I didn't know because I come from a Korean organization. I didn't know how the Filipino organizations worked. I got a wake up call. But what I did is brought a lot of groups together. So by my second tournament, um, I had 200 competitors. My last tournament before I stopped throwing tournaments, we had 500 competitors.
Wow.
I was hoping for that on the last competition, but I now got to rebuild and meeting people like you, GM Rudy, um, other GMs that are bringing Life Stick back. Hopefully by the next tournament or the next two tournaments, I'll have that many players again.
Now, what stopped you? Was that COVID that got in the way and why you had to shut things down for a while?
We had an organization, WeCAF. It split up into two groups.
Okay.
Then when it split up, it wasn't worth having. It was already a small organization to me compared to like you come from a taekwondo organization or part of a taekwondo organization. It's huge. My last taekwondo tournament I had was 3,500 competitors.
Hmm.
Um, so having a scrimmage tournament, it was easy for my staff because I told them, well, I'm gonna start having a scrimmage tournaments. They gave me that look because they go, "Are you crazy? We just got done, having a big tournament." I go, "Don't worry, you'll have less than 50 players," and they started laughing. But then when they saw that, they were like, "Wow, you're serious?" And I'm like, "Yes, it's not big, like Taekwondo, karate tournaments." But my goal was to grow. So each year I doubled my players in groups that came to our tournament. So, but after the split up, a little bit about that. Um, I just stopped having it. It wasn't worth having tournaments anymore. Then when COVID hit, everything just went to shits. People, a lot of groups, a lot of GMs and masters I talked to recently, they're rebuilding. They all will be at your tournament. Next year. A lot of them stopped teaching. But they didn't stop teaching, but they didn't have that big group like interest like they did before. But I told them you guys could do it. That's what I've been doing. I started the Got Stick seminar, so I've been going to different schools, different groups, trying to get everyone back into the swing of things, teaching the sport of, padded point, padded continuous engagement, and live stick. So next week it'll be my third seminar in a row. I had one in Vegas, and I just came back from Stockton. Now I'm going to Ventura County, Oxnard, next weekend.
Okay. Cool. So, now the cool thing was you had so yeah, we're not going to drum up the past, okay? But there was a split. Members of WeCAF went and created another group called GSBA, Global Stick and Blade Alliance. And they, there's one group for this camp, one group for another. But your event, you had people from both sides of the fence.
Oh yes, I keep in touch, with everyone. I'm beyond past the political things. I just love the art, and I get everyone's support because they love my tournaments. I treat it like a Korean, like I come from a Korean organization, and I treat everyone well. I try to have a quality tournament worthwhile for people to come out. Because in the past, I had people from Australia, Europe, Philippines, a lot of people from the Philippines. That's why a lot of groups were really surprised. Like, how'd you get them to come? I had people from Mexico, Hawaii, and hopefully my next tournament it'll be like that again. But with Trump back in presidency, it's a lot of people. Canada didn't make it out this time. They were supposed to bring a big group, but they didn't make it out. And
Well, it
so,
is definitely rough. I'm not going to make a comment one way or another about our president. And whether you voted for him or not, he's still our president. And what, as citizens, our job is to back him and hopefully help him make good decisions versus standing against and causing discord. But that being said, logistically speaking, we were talking about doing the WCAF World Championships, which you're the West Coast director, right?
Yes.
I'm the Great Lakes director, and when the votes were done and all this other stuff, it ended up it's going to be in Romania. That being said, I think it's probably best with the global politics the way they are at the moment.
Yes, I think it'll be a successful tournament in Romania than having it in the States. Um, so yeah, it would have been hard for a lot of people to come out here.
Yeah, I think, and whether you like Trump or not, I think once we get to a few more months down the road, things will start stabilizing. Everything's. I think really after the first year, it's going to take us to get to a sense of normalcy. But we'll see how things go.
Yeah, hopefully things work out.
Right. So when we look, so what divisions did you have? Because yours was a non-denominational tournament, bringing both sides together on neutral ground. And you had some extra things that people didn't normally do. So, I'd really like to talk about the tournament because this was I think you got the best of both worlds, both from an organizational point, because you use some rule sets from both sides of the fence, as well as having some other divisions available that you wouldn't normally see at a Filipino martial arts tournament.
Oh, what I did is GM Rudy has karate and taekwondo divisions at his tournament, and I helped him out. That was in December before my tournament, and I thought, the Filipino martial arts that we are rebuilding, so financially, I think, hey, I'll do that too. My system's Tai Kali Do. I teach taekwondo. I never thought of that before because for me, I couldn't have a taekwondo tournament and a scrimmage tournament at the same time because like I said, my last tournament had 3,500 competitors, and there was no way, we're gonna do everything in one day. But everything's small and rebuilding, so I decided to do a karate a kumite, continuous points karate point sparring in it. We had a small group. That supported. And then we also, what I wanted to do to have all the different FMA groups to come out, I did, because padded point is really big right now. Not just in the FMA schools, but in Taekwondo and karate schools. So I did the point sparring, the padded point. I had continuous padded engagement. That's from GSBA rules that we used. Everyone loved it. Like all the groups from Vegas that supported me, there was no complaints. Everyone loved the engagement. Then you have your guys that did live stick, um, but most of the live stick people were from out of town. We had like top, you know, the schools that did come, they were the top schools. Um, Quality instructors brought, it was like the competition was top notch. I was really impressed. And a lot of them, some of the instructors kind of got more into padded, and they were surprised there were students that they still want to compete in live. So, but everything turned out really well, and we had Bankal. That's one of the new things for me. Um, we had it at nationals last year, so we had quite a few people that was in the Bankal divisions.
Okay. So for those, we're going to go backwards from this point. Bangkao is staff fighting. So not bow staff, because that's bow and staff are the same word. But the Bangkao is the Filipino term for staff or bow. So there's a fighting division with the staff. So, and then as GM Henry talked about, in the United States, and I actually had this talk at headquarters with Grandmaster Gerald about this. And it's not that people in the States don't want to do live stick fighting, because it's not that they don't want to. It's just not, it's not cost prohibitive. It's very cost prohibitive. Like, we think about this, So anyone who does padded stick fighting, if you do another martial art, if you're cross training, which a lot of people in FMA do, and you're doing karate or taekwondo, you already have a helmet. So from Century or Asian World or another company, you buy a face shield and you've got that covered. You really don't need much gear on that. If you're doing live stick, you need the helmet. That could be $100 to $150. You need the body protector. It could be another $100 to $150. Then you need proper gloves. That once again, and then what a lot of people do is they buy extra stuff. So they'll put on leggings and stuff of that nature, and they'll go through all this route. You can easily. It's not as expensive as kendo, which is crazy expensive. But it definitely gets up there. I mean, you could easily be spending $500. And if you're not doing stick fighting on a regular basis, it's a lot of money to ask someone to cough up to do it only 2 or 3 times a year.
Yes, it is.
You know, like I said, you put a face shield on, a helmet, you put probably the best one out there as far as versatility is the Tiger Claw helmet. It's pretty much made to fit on any helmet that's out there. Where the Century face shield is pretty much designed to be on Century equipment, and both are good. You just got to figure out what works for you. And to have dedicated gear for stick fighting when you're not doing it a lot, and just, personally, I think if we're talking about what is it going to take to get Filipinos martial arts as a sport promoted quickest, I think it's padded weapon fighting. And I did like so I'm all used to doing the point fighting, which is blade rules, or call it whatever you want, stop and go. Someone scores and you go from there. The other one is the engagement fighting, which he was talking about. And what happens is you have a 2-minute round. And once someone gets hit, the center official starts counting for 4 seconds. And then they break. And then the corners vote for who won that little engagement. And then they give a point to the winner. So, I mean, if you put your flag up, 2 may go one way, 1 goes the other. I mean, it's just no different than point fighting. But it's the problem with point fighting is you can find a lot of people that have worked the system to hit first, but they don't defend themselves. They don't try to evade. It's all offense only, which, it's the problem in any kind of sport martial art that you run into. But I like the engagement because I don't do it here, and I'm going to be looking into doing it here. But I think the engagement sparring has I think it's the look we like for continuous.
It's clean. It's clean.
Much cleaner.
That's what I like about it.
And unfortunately, live stick is 3 1-minute rounds of that, not engagement, just going for it, and it gets real hard, I think, for spectators to understand what they're watching.
Yeah, understand it. But it all depends who's teaching. When I came to Vegas, there's a lot of people go, "Oh, you're a weak calf, you're one of those patas." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" Then they even showed me videos. They go, "Look like you guys are just brawling. There's no technique." And I get what they're saying, but if it's taught properly, a lot of my top fighters, they fight clean. I tell, we fight like it's like engagement. It looks clean. You can, it all depends who's teaching it.
I used to hang around WeCAF back in the early '90s. The Canadian group, the late Rudy Cosico had a phenomenal team, and his people. I mean, I watched one of his guys, Sterling, bobbing and weaving against the person in front of him, making that person miss strikes.
Oh yeah.
Because as much as it is a sport, and okay, so here's the sport, right? So I am a coach. My job as a coach is to coach my people to win by the rules. And if the rules, which doesn't necessarily, in my opinion, sometimes things aren't always ethical, but it's by the rule. Or you're like, well, is it really fair doing X, Y, and Z? Like, here, one of the things I have an issue with, there's a big part of the fighters out there wear hockey pants. And their mindset is if you hit them in the leg, it doesn't hurt them. Now, here's the problem. I mean, and so are you winning because you have better armor or you're a better fighter. Now, someone will say, well, why don't you just make them not wear those leggings? Here's the problem. If there's an accident and there's a lawsuit, and sooner or later there's going to be one, and you go to court and they tell you, or the person says, we wanted to wear more protection, but they wouldn't allow us. Say, how do you tell someone that you can't wear more protection? It's not MMA, it's not boxing that's under. If you're boxing, if you get underneath Boxing USA, man, you can pretty much do anything you want. I mean, their insurance company really helps you out. Mm-hmm. But you tell anyone you're doing MMA or something like that, there's a bunch of insurance companies that won't touch you. And you always need to protect you and your family.
That's right. It's a sport. Everyone always says stuff. It's a sport. And I tell, like, when people visit me at my studios, I put all the gear on them because, like, my Oxnard group, their level of sparring is way up there. If you don't wear proper gear, you're gonna. I don't care what kind of gear you're wearing, because we do wear. My Oxnard group, we had, we had the hockey, thigh pads. We got the hockey gloves, extra protection, because they hit hard. You saw some of my fighters, Boom Boom Tyrone Evans. He's one of my OGs, but he lives in Vegas now, and he only trained like 45 minutes, 2 weeks before the tournament, and he says, I'll jump in teams. I think I got a minute in me, and he still hits hard, and he just started. The guy he was sparring with, just with hand shots. And then my group, when they used to compete and they see people not wearing the proper gear, they used to drool because they know, you know, that's the target. You have to be. And everyone that's sparred against my group, they know they got to wear their equipment, because if they don't wear their equipment, they're done the first minute. They'll stop.
Yep. Yeah, and because of all that, unfortunately, that just makes it challenging. Getting back to, you come from Virginia, cool there, David. I talked to an old world champion who was also a modern East black belt, Ed Pilsitz, and he was in Buffalo for the last camp that we ran here while Remy was still alive. And I said, well, you do live stick. All I do is pad. He goes, Tim, I've broken a guy's arm with a padded stick. Don't undersell what you're doing. And the big thing is the difference between live stick and padded stick is the quantity of armor you end up wearing. Yes. But part of the problem is if there's nothing in the rules that talk about, hey, Carl, my Bayesian brother, if there's nothing in the rules that talk about having to disengage, showing defense and stuff like that, then you'll get these guys that just do rock'em sock'em robots that just haul in and don't give a damn either way. And that's the balancing act you have to do, because, you train for what the rules are, Yes. And unfortunately, in some of these groups, it's more training you for the cardio game versus teaching you defense.
Oh, you have to do both.
You should.
Yeah, I'm very high on. If everyone that trained with me, they know first thing first is conditioning. We condition really hard, day and night. Then we work, the strategy, the techniques. But the first thing, you got to be conditioned, because with all the armor on, and how intense stick fighting could be, you need to be conditioned.
Mm-hmm.
Or you need to fight smart. I had fighters in the past that go, I'm too old to go, those rounds. And I go, well, we'll figure something out. So I had a generation that we focused on disarming, because when you disarm 3 times in a match, it's a TKO. So they didn't have to, they were older players, and they mastered the disarming. And so that's how they got away, with pushing their cardio.
Gotcha. So, so how many people did you end up having at this tournament?
We had a little bit over 50, 55.
Which is a good size Filipino martial arts tournament. And here's the thing. So whether it be GSBA versus WECAF, I'm doing alphabetical, by the way, not playing favoritism there. My complaint has always been the same. The way these things generally run, now, the general way, the normal way, the norm, not the exception, is that I've never wanted to do anything with WECAF or GSBA because they didn't have just tournaments. What they had was something to qualify you to get on your country's team, or at least the way the states do it, because the quantity of people who do it, instead of picking your team on your own and just going to a foreign country, we actually have trials. And there's a protocol. So you first you compete in a regional event, which qualifies you for nationals. The top two people in nationals in each division are now on the national team and can go to the World Championships. When they get done with that, they come home and they start all over again. It's you got your year off, or you do the Worlds. Like, so I did the Worlds in 2024 or 2024. I was the world champion in my division. So we come back, we form another team because the presidency switched hands, which was the plan. That was the plan. So Grandmaster Torres has taken over from the ground up, and unfortunately, it's not like a changing of the guard thing. It's kind of like all or nothing. You go set up your nationals, you set up your regionals again, and go do nationals again. But I just want to go to tournaments. Like, the thing here is the reason why I ended up competing for USA isn't because I wanted to compete for USA. I really had no intention. I had a car accident. I've been doing physiotherapy, and my doctor and my physiotherapist said, Tim, it's time. You've done enough of this. Now it's time to go out and see what the therapy's done for you, and see if we're broken. And I had to have surgery. I had a bicep, but I came back with a gold, a silver, and a bronze from the Philippines, and then I had surgery. So I feel pretty good about it. But I went down to this tournament at Carlos Patalingos just to see where the body was at. Next thing I know, oh, by the way, Tim, you made Team USA. I'm like, I wouldn't have competed if I would have known that, because I wouldn't want to take a spot away from somebody who would have been willing to go to the Worlds. And at the time, I had no intention on going to the Worlds. And it's nice to have just a tournament. And I don't want to take away from Got Sticks saying it's just a tournament. My Laban Laro tournament that I run, I think it's very special, but it's just a tournament. It is not the stepping stone to get in the national team to go to Worlds and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And I think we need to have more of them. And you having yours in Vegas, I think is great, because it gives people an opportunity to compete. So if they want to get more experience before they go down the path of trying out for Team USA, and we're talking the basis that you are here in the States, mm-hmm. And it gets that extra practice. So you run a regular tournament, I run a regular tournament. There's some others that Grandmaster Rudy runs multiple regular tournaments, and we're talking about getting some kind of a circuit going, a national circuit.
That's the plan.
Yeah, I got regional stuff. I don't have national stuff. And I've got my own league, but I work with WECAF because I look at the biggest picture. If we want to get things to go to the Olympics, it's not going to do it by me. I can't do that. I don't have enough connections. I don't have enough commitment to that, because I'd have to throw out everything else I do and just focus on that goal. WECAF, we've been in the Southeast Asian Games, so that's a great first step. And we've got other things coming up that could happen, which I don't want to mention one way or another. But we've been in meetings, and at the end of the day, I don't want to. Well, generally, what happens in our meetings is amongst us, and if whatever our future plans are, I would rather have the powers that be mention it versus someone like myself. But now the cool thing here is, and for those who know, Rudy's also the West Coast director of WECAF. but has friends in GSBA that supports of his events. Because here's the thing. Let's talk about politics for a minute. All right. I'm undecided, but I have friends that are, well, I'll be upfront about it. I didn't vote for Trump. Because when January 6th happened, no matter what you say, because there's the conspiracy theorists and all this other stuff, we needed the president of the United States to show up and do the right thing to help our nation. And unfortunately, we got Donald Trump. So because of that, I said I'd never vote for him again. I didn't vote. Now, I voted Republican pretty heavy during the election because being a business owner in New York State, the Democrats didn't help us out. The Democrats kind of tied our hands. But I have a bunch of friends from different political parties. We can all talk amongst other things. And when we start talking about, well, why do you vote for this? They understand that I vote for policy, not for people. And we can get into this conversation like, hey, listen, we might not agree on this, but I'm curious why you voted this way, because you know what? You may change my mind for future elections. And maybe I'll change yours for a future election. So having that having friends on both sides of the fence or all sides of the fence, I've always felt very valuable. And being at your event, having WECAF and GSBA side by side, everyone getting along, no smack talk, we talk smack because that's what we do. But you really, I think you were kind of a goodwill ambassador for Filipino martial arts that weekend.
Thank you.
Well, you did the work. You got people together that normally wouldn't, and it was great. I think everyone had a blast. No one had any problems, and people are already, before the tournament was over, I already heard people that were getting excited about next year's event.
Yes.
So to me, that's a success. And
yeah, I would have loved having my next event the same day, but I'm actually hosting nationals, recap nationals, next March 8th or March 7th. It's March
and that's
7th.
what I wanted to. I was planning on bringing that up next. That not only is GM Henry the West Coast director for WECAF, but he will be hosting the nationals to pick the U.S. for the members become members of Team USA next year. And it's a team that's putting this event together, but obviously it's in Vegas. You're the primary host. You'll be doing all the logistics of hosting and setting venues and all that other stuff. Obviously, the team they split the work amongst them, so everyone's carrying the weight.
I have a great team. GM Rudy Torres Dojo Tech, GM Antonio Lucero, White Tiger Martial Arts. Those two make things easy for me. I don't have my big staff like I did when I was in California in Oxnard. I had over 100 people that would help me, and that's why my tournaments went smooth, because I had a lot of help. You can't do it by yourself.
Yeah.
So
you gotta start somewhere.
I teamed up with these two, and we had a real successful event. Planning to do. We're talking about regionals, because we already have dates for nationals and world, but we don't have a date for regionals or a qualifier. And
we have one, and that's
yours.
That's mine. So
October 5th.
So I'm doing a 2-day event, or actually a 3-day event, if you include the seminars at my school and stuff like that. So the first weekend of October, I'm hosting the Buffalo Martial Arts Expo. The Buffalo Martial Arts Expo will host on Saturday the Buffalo Niagara Laban Laro, my open stick fighting event, which will also have the the Sikaran International / World Championships and other events that'll be going on. That'll be on Saturday. On Sunday will be the qualifying tournament to go to nationals. So the top 4 in every division qualify to go to Vegas and try to make Team USA. We're trying to get a big gene pool to choose from, and that's the thing. Is like we'll only have a couple people. We take the top 2 people, and actually last one, we didn't have the. Okay, Now people are going to bust my chops when I say this. We didn't necessarily have the best team. What they did is they took the top person from the East Coast and the top person from the West Coast. I want the best team. And if the best team is everyone's on the West Coast, then they should be going. If the best team is everyone is on the East Coast, then they should be going. But you'll never know if they don't go head to head. And we had a great team, and we had a good time in the Philippines. And I make the team because I'm a returning world champion. But I also want to do other events, and we're in the midst of discussion other things about that. But with that, I'm trying to push. Let's say my qualifying tournament for nationals. It's going to be it's at a huge venue. It's the Great Lakes region. It is open to anyone who wants to come. It's probably going to be the first one, which means come to my tournament and qualify in case, do it as early as you can. So you're not scrambling, because I know some people they didn't qualify for everything. So they came to the East Coast to qualify for the thing they were missing. It was Linda Polito. She didn't have her padded knife fighting,
Yeah, I brought a couple fighters to the East Coast because they couldn't make the West Coast nationals. So we went to the East Coast, and they qualified. But for financial reasons, my fighters couldn't make it to the Philippines.
Yeah.
So
well,
there's always next time.
And the thing here is this: it's not that we don't want people to go to their own regionals, but like you said, there's schedule conflicts.
Yes.
So, I want the best possible team. So if the best players come to my tournament and they all qualify, if someone in Buffalo didn't make it because these people took those spots because they were hot that day, well, then they should go to the next regional or next qualifying tournament, or the one after that, or the one after that. And then we'll know head to head come next March who is the most qualified for the team. Now, the only downside with that, we got to remember, the best fighters don't always go, which is another reason why I never competed, because I really wasn't supposed to be on Team USA. I went because the physiotherapist told me, and my doctor, go check your shit out, make sure you're okay. So I went and competed, and I remember talking to Steve Woke. I go, no, if I would have known this, I would have backed out. Oh, Tim, you just, you do the tournament and they'll take the top person that's willing to go. I go, that's fine for Sayao or Forms. It's an easy one for Forms. But what if I fight the best qualified person in the first round and beat him? Yeah, I wouldn't worry about it. You know what happened, everybody? I beat the best qualified person that was willing to go, and he was so far down that multiple people would have to back out because our bracket was there's so many fighters there. Like when we talked about, the conversation we had the other day about the top four.
Yes.
There was more than four. So having lived through that, the division, it's not like, oh, hey, we're taking the top four from your area. Well, if you have a heavy division, what do you do then? But that's why I usually don't compete in these things, because if I wasn't intended on going, why would I want to? It's unfair that if someone competes, takes someone's spot out, and possibly the best person that was willing to go doesn't make it. If you're not willing to go to these things, I don't think you should be trying out. Now yours is a national tournament period. So in addition to being the qualifier for Team USA, it's our nationals. So you can be the national champion. You don't necessarily have to go to Romania, but if you've gone that far, you might as well do it the rest of the way. And right now, trips to Romania, the tickets aren't as expensive as they were to the Philippines. So.
Oh, okay. Yo, you did your research? I didn't do my research yet.
Yeah, yours is going to be more expensive because, well, actually, they might not. I just got to see how you'd fly. Most likely, because of the way you would travel, Yours would be more because you'd go eastward, so you'd
Oh,
pass me on the way. So it's a longer trip for you automatically. But I'll probably spend more because I will fly Delta because I use Delta points, and I'll want to get my miles in. And I mean, I'm always about my status. Like right now, I've got platinum status, or platinum status with Delta, and I want to keep it. So
so
I
you're
gotta.
making fun. You're making fun of me because I fly Spirit or what?
I would make fun of everyone that flies Spirit. Hey, listen, I went to Denmark. Craig and I went there, and I stayed over there for a while. He flew back, and my luggage got stuck overnight in Reykjavik, Iceland. I got to Buffalo. I flew from Toronto. So in Toronto, I drove down to Buffalo. My luggage came in to Toronto the next morning, and my airline closed later that night. They went out of business. Wow Airlines. Wow is a lot like Spirit. So yeah, I'd make fun of you. But yeah. Oh man, I thought I did this. Okay. All right. Well, we'll see how that's going. Okay. So, but I mean, because I use points. I mean, okay. So I just I booked a ticket. I'm teaching my camp in Jacksonville in a couple weeks. I didn't pay a dime. Well, actually, I had to pay like $20 for a round trip ticket to Jacksonville, Florida. Okay.
How did that go?
Oh, that's coming up in a couple weeks.
No, you went to Florida recently, right?
Oh yeah, I went to the Maya conference. All systems go, and now in addition to being Maya Elite, I also joined their CMA program, and it was very beneficial. I got to I got to meet with a lot of the people I've been arguing online with face to face.
How did that go?
I'm still standing. I'm still looking pretty. My arms still work. There's all the BJJs and the Muay Thai guys, and you know what? They lined up in front of me, and I'm like, yeah, and then we started making remarks back and forth, and they realized that I'm a pretty funny guy, and I'm quicker than they are. But I got some content coming out that'll clarify some things shortly, which will be cool. I was hoping. I tried to have one other person on the show. I didn't want to do it, but I didn't know what the schedule was. I was trying to have Grandmaster Rudy Torres on the show with us because he was part of Got Sticks. I'd love to have him here. We're going to try to do another show to promote his tournament. He has a tournament coming up Memorial Day weekend. So, but listen, I've been on Got Sticks. I'm going back next year. I'll go back to the year after that. Henry does a great job. Because he also does something that makes it easier for me. So I do a lot of seminars, and he goes, and I already committed to doing the event. He goes, Tim, would you like to teach the night before? I go, sure. So Got Sticks is a 2-day event, and there's seminars part of this. And you have to pay extra for it, but I had a blast reconnecting. And it makes it easier for me because if I have to choose if I have to choose on a weekend between going to a tournament and teaching a seminar, which is how I provide for my family, we already know the answer to that question. I'd rather teach a seminar and get money than have competitors and coaches yelling at me. Which I got to say, I don't recall any major complaints. I didn't hear any. I mean, as usual, getting people in the rings, that was a little rough. But that's every tournament. I mean, trying to get martial artists to get where they're supposed to be is like freaking trying to herd cats. You need to have a big thing of catnip around and throw it in the ring, and or the martial art catnip for that.
Yeah. Well, that's my goal. My goal is to make there's little things that I know we need to improve in, but all in time, and when it grows, then I'll have more help.
Yeah.
But since we're talking about seminars, I just want to give a quick shout out to Chad from Northern, good old Chad from Northern Eskrima for letting us use the studio.
Oh, yes.
He always throws it out there. Hey, GM, do you could use if you need use my place for weigh-ins or whatever you need it for, because we use
He was great.
Oh yeah, we use a studio for weigh-ins for 2024 nationals, and then we use it for our seminars this past month. So just wanted to give them a shout out. We appreciate it. This time around, I want to promote the seminars. Asking certain instructors because I'm gonna start calling our Gothic seminar "Hollow Hollow" because it's a mixture of everything. Everyone had a great time. Of course, a lot of people loved your seminar.
Thank you.
The people that we interviewed, they really loved your seminar. So of course, we're gonna have you come back. Um, Master Moses from Combat FMA Las Vegas. We're gonna have him come back
Well,
because he
hey,
did.
let's talk about him for a minute. Okay, so and definitely you need to let him know this podcast you'll be able to see on YouTube almost right away. Definitely on my Facebook page, the Datu Hartman, and actually, you could share this to your page. Actually, I will share this to your Facebook page so it's already there.
All right.
So we did the seminar Friday night. I haven't seen him since the early 2000s.
Oh wow! You guys did a seminar together, right?
Yeah. Okay. So we taught a bunch of times together with Marlena Hafano and stuff of that nature. So, you have to. Okay, you would have to do it. I can't share this to yours. Can't share this to your page. Maybe, yeah, no, I can't. You can share it to my. You'll be able to look this up. But if you look at my Datu Hartman page, you can share it later. But okay. So he did the seminars, and he coached all of his kids. They're all adults. Coached his team on Saturday. It was his friggin' birthday. That's loyalty to his team. See, this is where loyalty is a two-way street, and he was loyal to his students, which is why his students are loyal to him. A day that he could have been out there, and actually, once I found that out, I made sure I made an announcement on that because people needed to know. I mean, that's how you build.
I saw that.
That's how you build a following. See, no one's paying for the honor to train with us. They're paying for material. And the thing here is this. They're paying, which means they get customer service. And if you don't give customer service, they'll go elsewhere. Well, they weren't loyal to me. Did you deserve that kind of loyalty? If a restaurant starts their quality of service starts dropping, are you going to keep going there? So why would we, if we didn't do that for any other business, why would we do the same in a martial arts school? If someone doesn't constantly help us and support what we're doing, and why would we keep supporting them? And he could have easily cut out and just hang out with his family, but instead, well, he did. His Marshall family. He stayed there at your event, and it was a great moment for all of us to learn and to, this is it. You lead by example, and others will follow by choice.
I was really happy he supported me. He what's good about his support is showing different FMA schools, hey, we could go to these tournaments. Because usually, like Lameco, Estrissimo, FMA systems, you wouldn't see them, at my tournaments. In the past, I had a lot of different systems, but I don't think I ever had a Lameco or Estrissimo at my tournaments. But I had a lot of different systems, and hopefully, my next tournament, that's why I've been going to promoting myself in Northern California. There are so many groups out there.
Yeah.
So many groups. and hopefully I did a great event because a couple of groups from Northern California came out, and usually I have like two groups that always support me, but I think altogether I had like five groups from Northern California, and hopefully the other groups, everyone looked like they had a good time. They post, their videos and said great things about the tournament. So I'm hoping next year that I'll have, you know, if I could get all of FMA groups from Northern California to come out, oh, then I'll easily have 500 players at the tournament. Just with Northern California, they got big groups and great instructors out there. I got to meet a couple of GMs and masters this past weekend. Re-meet them because I met them at GM Rudy's tournament. Um, Great guys, quality fighters. They don't usually go out of Northern California, and I get it. Things get expensive and stuff. Well, that's why I'm in Vegas now. Kill two birds with one stone. Everyone wants to come to Vegas,
Yep.
so and that's why my daughter's trying to get me out to Florida, but it's hard to leave Vegas because for what I do, um, Vegas is the spot to have seminars and tournaments. I proved it. I mean, I got
To
groups from
replicate what you have
worldwide
going
that came.
there, because like what you and I talked about, because of how that town works, you couldn't replicate that in another city
No,
unless they had. I mean, because you end up. I mean, so GM Henry has clientele that hangs out with some high-end rollers, and because of it being Vegas and stuff, it allows him to do things and gets connections. I mean, he knows part of Jabberwocky. I mean, like, you
oh,
bastard.
that's Master Ariel's student, JB. That's
Okay,
not my student, but
okay,
he trained with me once. He was a great guy.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So it was blast. I mean, but because of where you are and how things are working and all this other stuff, um, you you wouldn't be able to replicate the same thing in other states.
true.
But hey, listen, if you're all thinking about going to a martial art tournament and you don't mind traveling for the love of the art, this is one you go to. So, is there anything else you want to touch base on? Well, we've been on for about an hour, and I
I
think
just
we've
want to
covered
give
everything.
I want to give a shout out to Stick Duck, Dr. Chris from Alpha Dos Padres. He said, make sure you give me a shout out. I want
Well,
to give a
he
shout out to.
traveled the farthest.
Yeah, he did.
I thought I was
He-
going to be the farthest from Buffalo, New York. Nope, they had New York City, which is 6 hours further from me. So,
yeah, I want to give his team a shout out because he took home the belts,
yes, they did.
and um, Alpha Dos Padres took home the live stick belts. Uh, Me and GM Rudy, we took home the padded team belts. Um,
So what you're saying is you're a champion at pillow fighting, right? It's
but
okay, so
um,
am I.
but it was great. Both padded and live stick was great competition.
Oh, it was. It
Uh,
was.
the team that we lost to FMA school, it could have went both ways. But I wasn't even mad or upset
Well,
or
I
anything
will.
for
I
that.
will. I'm going to say one thing about that. The name was Team FMA School, so it was Francis's team, but not
Yes.
every member on the team was from Francis's school. So that's the only thing I'm going to say.
Well, they're part same organization, but um, that was his. That's his instructor that fought on the
Yeah.
on their team, but didn't matter. I mean, we beat them in padded, so we did really well against them in padded, but they beat us in live stick,
Okay.
and
It works both ways.
they lost against Alpha Dos Padres. Alpha Dos Padres, Guru Chris took a lot of pride in this team because two of them are their newbies, and he trained the heck out of them, and
They
it
they
showed.
were they were
They
a
showed.
force
They
to be
came to
reckoned
play.
with. Cool,
They came
cool.
into play.
So and then yeah, man, I'm going to be up in Smash. This weekend sucks. Okay, so long story short, I teach in Saratoga, New York, at an event. I also teach in New Hampshire at an event. And wouldn't you know, this year they're both the same weekend, and I told both people I was going to be there. So I'm driving 7 hours with my team to New Hampshire, teaching there for a few hours. on Friday night. Once we're done teaching, we're driving another 3.5 hours back to Saratoga and spending the rest of the weekend in Saratoga Springs, teaching at another camp. So, yeah, Matt, I will be there, and I will see you there. So, okay, so we got your 2 tournaments. The next tournament that, if you're thinking about stick fighting, there is the Erie Open in Erie, Pennsylvania, which I will be running the stick fighting divisions. It will only be padded. And then the same weekend, Master Torres is doing his. He sent it to me. I don't have it downloaded onto my computer, but he did send this to me. So let me quote this right. It's his Escrima de Mayo.
Escrima de Mayo, yes.
Nice branding. And that is May 24th. It's going to be at 2106 Cherokee Road, Stockton, California. And then I know he's also doing a one in August. I'll be at that event.
If he could get all the groups, all the FMA groups from Stockton or Northern California to go to his tournaments, if you could get all of them, it'll be a great competition.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much talent out there. You know, I just wish they competed more. But some schools are just not into competition.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
It's a choice.
That's their choice. But they started going to his tournaments. I saw, you know, a couple of groups, multi-style, Stockton multi-style, Bahalana. I saw them at their tournaments. And they got big groups and great fighters. I know we're going to end soon, so I got to give a couple more shout outs,
Sure.
you know, to my tournament committee, GM Rudy, especially his staff. Without his staff, I can't pull their names up, but they know who they are. Without his staff, we wouldn't have a successful event like we did. GM Professor or GM Antonio Lucerio running the, he's been running WeCap for years, running tournaments. He actually actually ended up running all my tournaments in the past because he used to come up with his GM Bandolan. And he says, "Man, you need help." So he always had Antonio help me with my tournaments. Um, and I want to give a shout out to all the schools that came to support. Um, the biggest group is Original Dos Padres GM Albert Mendoza and his instructors guru Jamie D. I want to give them a shout out. They brought
Where were they from?
San Diego.
Okay.
They brought the biggest group
Cool.
out, and that really they got into padded, but he's a great life stick instructor. I saw when he was competing, the school that we used to always have battle against was this group that he was from back in the days. So I knew him for a while, and he always supports me. He always, man, I'll support you. You always have the best tournaments. I like, thank you,
Cool.
you know. And all the other groups, the first time coming to my tournaments, there's a group from San Jose that came out, a couple karate schools. I'd like to thank all of them for supporting. Master Maldonado, he brought some players. He has tournaments also. Went in Livingston. He came all the way out to Vegas to support. Thank you. My daughter, that was our medic, and she fought girls that didn't have anyone in their division.
Oh, she was a beast.
For not competing in the scrimmage for a long time. I mean, she's a 3-time world champion, but she's into kickboxing now. But she's conditioned, so picking up a stick is like, you know, just getting back on a bike. Um, Everyone was really impressed with her skills, but she's been doing it since she was doing a scrimmage since she was 7. So she grew up at the studio. So it's just natural for her.
Cool. All right. Well, we're gonna wrap things up. Stay on because I'm just gonna shut this down and then we'll just do a quick debrief before you gotta go.
All right.
All right. So next tournament coming up, Erie Open and the Escrima de Mayo Memorial Day weekend. Erie Open here in the East Coast, Escrima de Mayo on the West. And then there's an August event coming up in Stockton. And then, of course, next year, Got Sticks, in the next chapter of Got Sticks, along with the national championship to pick Team USA to go to Romania, hosted by this gentleman right here, Grandmaster Henry Garcia.
We're shooting for March 7th, 2026 for nationals. And for the next Got Sticks tournament, we're shooting for, so save the date, May 30th, Saturday, May 30th, 2026. We're shooting for those dates. So it might change, but so far, so good. I like to plan early. Everyone's laughing at me. Well, you're planning more than a year ahead of time ago. That's the only way to have a real successful tournament.
Dude, I've got events scheduled 3 years out.
Yeah, I'm not trying to run a Filipino time where 2 months out, then everyone says, "Oh, you didn't tell me ahead of time." So I've been telling. No one had no excuse because I told everyone a year advance. Even GM Antonio was saying, "Oh, that's too early." I'm like, "Dude, you got promise. I promise you, you gotta do it early." And he was really surprised on the turnout we had, because we promoted it early. So I'm hoping to double the players on the next tournament.
That'd be great.
So hopefully in a couple more years, then I'll get back to 500 players. I like to see the the FMA community grow. I mean, it's growing. After COVID, it grew, but it didn't grow in fighters. It grew more like promoting the art. Um, and there's a lot of people because there weren't competitions for a long time, like you were talking about earlier. So hopefully with GM Rudy's, my tournaments, your tournaments, um, other instructors are having tournaments. Hopefully, the circuit will begin and more people will get and more into the competition aspect of the FMA.
That'd be great. All right, everybody. Well, we're going to wrap this show up. I'm not sure what next week's show is going to be about, but it'll be a good one because I said so. we'll figure it out. I also will have, GM Henry, you're always welcome back. So when we're getting closer to those events and those dates are locked in on all of them, by all means, I want to definitely do a week half one. Obviously this show is mostly modern art centric, but it's more than that because a lot of arts, if you know your history, one art is not by itself. There's a lot of overlap, influence, whether it's on the downstream, the upstream. We're all related one way or another. So I would love to have you back. And I know I want to get GM Rudy on, and then definitely when I get ready to promote the worlds and stuff of that nature, I definitely want to get the team on for that. But thanks for coming on. And
my pleasure. My pleasure. Anytime.
So everyone, it is always our pleasure to share information with you. So once again, thanks to Grandmaster Henry for coming on board. And you will see PG Ty as he talked the last time he was on. He's transitioning with work. He's not doing any other transitions, but he's changing stuff with work and stuff. So we won't be seeing him for a while, or it'll be infrequent. He's actually coming to Saratoga with us next week. And there you go. Thanks for sharing all the way from Tijuana, Mexico, brother. So, hey, if you can get across the border, providing that Trump doesn't lock you out, because, it's Trump, you should go to Got Sticks. They're down by they're 30 minutes past the border in San Diego, San Diego. And Dave Parker says thanks. So, all right. Well, everyone, this is always a pleasure. You all stay safe and stay sane.